Today I wanted to go a bit more in depth into how I cured my dizziness after eating. And this is especially for those of you who are not familiar with Dr. Sarno's book, Healing Back Pain, and this whole concept of psychosomatic disorders. The first important thing that he recommended, and that I would also suggest you do, is to go, of course, see your doctor to rule out any sort of obvious physiological or structural uh, reasons for your dizziness after eating. And by these sort of obvious physiological causes, I mean, for example, if you have a tumor or if there's something wrong with your blood, um, anything that the doctor can sort of obviously tell that, if they run some tests or they do some imaging or whatever, that they can point you right away and say, hey, this is your problem. If that's the case, then obviously you do not need to go any further and you just follow the doctor's prescription to solve your dizziness after eating. So that would be the number one most important thing. So after you've done that, if you're still at a place where you think, okay, the doctors have looked at this, but they haven't been able to sort of pinpoint anything in particular that's wrong with me, then you might consider this whole theory that I'm going to talk about by Dr. Sarno, where basically you might want to think about whether your dizziness may be caused by certain psychological stressful issues that you are experiencing in your life. And I will sort of give an example. In my case, my dizziness happened at the same time that I was preparing to give a big presentation in front of a large audience. And so the pressure that I put on myself of doing well in that presentation sort of led my subconscious mind to affect certain bodily processes in my body, which then led to the dizziness after eating. And so I guess a major point to stress here is that I'm not saying that the dizziness is made up in your head. What I'm saying is that the dizziness is caused by perhaps a physiological mechanism such as decreased blood flow to your digestive system, which in turn may be caused by your subconscious mind doing certain actions to prevent you from facing the stressful issue in your life that you don't really want to face. The way I've explained it, I feel like I haven't explained this very well, but let me try this again. Is that Dr. Sarno's theory is that a lot of body ailments are caused by our subconscious mind helping us to avoid facing certain stressful issues in our lives by generating a body pain or something wrong with our bodies, so that we focus our attention on the body problem instead of facing what we really need to face in terms of that stressful issue. And in his book, it was directed toward back pain. And so it turns out that lower back pain, shoulder pain, just a lot of these kind of chronic kinds of pains that you can't really find a convincing reason for, are often caused by the fact that there are some stressful issues in your life that you haven't faced. And actually in his book, he also mentioned that there are a large class of other issues. For example, headaches and digestive issues that could also be caused by much the same mechanism, as the back pain. And so this is just basically an alternative theory for you to consider, that maybe your dizziness after eating is related to something else that's stressful that is happening in your life. And so what do you do if you think that, maybe this is the case, that maybe this is the reason that you're having this dizziness? Is one thing that he recommends is to get into the habit of facing your stressful issue head on. In my case, that would be, for example, the fact that I had to give this presentation. What I had been doing at the time, which led to my dizziness after eating, was to sort of not try to think about that stress and basically really, really prepare prepare the heck out of my presentation slides and basically not have to worry about the possibility that, oh, what if I don't do well in my presentation? What if I, blank out, or what if I just make a big fool of myself during this presentation? That kind of very scary possibility, I was sort of avoiding that and trying to do everything I could to avoid thinking about that. But instead, what he recommends is, okay, take the stressful issue, and instead of running away from the bad feelings, face them directly. So if I'm doing my presentation, I might imagine that, okay, what if I failed in my presentation? Wow, a lot of people would laugh at me. I might get really red in the face. I might lose my chance for that big promotion. I might not be as good as I think I am when it comes to presentations. I mean, basically go through all of the negative consequences that would transpire if you didn't do well. That's sort of the case in my example. And once you sort of honestly face those negative thoughts, then the magical thing is that the dizziness after eating will evaporate, because basically the reason for the dizziness to exist, which was to divert your attention away from those negative issues, will have been eliminated by the act of me facing those negative feelings head on. Yeah, so I'm not sure if I've explained this clearly for those of you who haven't read Dr. Sarno's book, but this was sort of a first stab at it. And another resource that you might want to look into is I made some other videos explaining this idea of how to face your negative psychological issues. And please look at part 3, my video entitled Part 3 of How I Cured My Chronic Back Pain, because that video talks about not so much back pain, but the actual psychological process I had to go through to cure my chronic back pain, which was actually caused by the same, psychosomatic problem as I just described for this dizziness after eating. So go look at part 3 of my back pain video, and maybe that might sort of guide you in a good direction too when you're trying to solve your dizziness after eating. So I wish you best of luck, and please leave me any questions in the comment section if you have them, and I'll try to address them if I can. Thank you.